Hey everybody, I'm Andy Smith, your hostess with the mostest. I'm a 30-year comic book veteran, having worked for Marvel Comics, DC Comics, Image Comics, Cross Generation, Ominous Press. You name it, I've probably worked for them. And I do other things art-wise outside of comics in the field of advertising. I've also written some books on drawing comics you might have seen. Drawing American manga superheroes, Drawing Dynamic Comics was my first book. And I also did the handy little How to Draw Superhero sketchbook where all you need is a pencil because you do all the work right inside the book. Enough about that. This is the Book Look series. The Book Look series is where I grab a book off my library. You can see the tons of books I have behind me. And I go through it page by page with you so you can see if it's a book that you might want to buy. I like to know what I want to buy before I buy it, and I feel this is a way to give you some insight into these books. So join me for today's Book Look. Thanks. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Book Look. I am Andy Smith, your host with the most. 31-year comic book veteran. Drawing comics for 31 years. Oh my God, that is a long time. And I'm glad to do it, and I love doing it. And if you're wondering, what are you doing now? I'm working on First Man, my own superhero. No politics, no preaching, just fun superhero action. Link in the description below. Please go back it if you haven't already. Okay, today's book look is on this Silver Surfer epic book. It came out originally, well, it was about 1995, 27 years ago. It originally was published in Italy, written by Ron Mars, who was doing Silver Surfer at the time, drawn by Italian artist Claudio Castellani, who has a very classic style in the sense of you can see some John Buscema, but he's got the dynamics of Jack Kirby, and Neil Adams. Most people probably over here have only seen this version, which you can see is smaller. It's called Dangerous Artifacts. This one, of course, you can actually read because it's printed in English, but it's in full color. And the reason I like, I'm not going to go through page by page of the full color one. The reason I want to specifically look at this one is because it is in glorious, once it's oversized like a graphic novel. Mine's pretty beat up, as you can see. I wish I could get a nicer copy of this just to have. But this one is printed in the ever so beautiful black and white. And that's why I love it so much. And that's why I got this one first. So for years I couldn't read this until they put out this version, which came out in, let's see, 1996, a year later, so not too long, so I could actually read the story. I've seen some of these original pages from Claudio when he was in the States at Cross Gen back in the day. These pages are huge. They're not 11 by 17. I think they might be twice up. The reason I love this glorious black and white is because of all these gray tones Claudio did. All of this is by hand, not a zipatone pattern he cut out and pasted down. I mean, now this gray tone here on the Surfer is definitely a zipatone pattern, but a lot of cross-hatching and stuff isn't. You get to see Claudio's take on Galactus and Thanos. This is epic in scale. This two-page spread of, I believe it's Galactus's ship, is just insane. The amount of work he put on these craters here on this moon. I will say in black and white, it does look a little cluttered. So coloring does help it out to separate things. Like for instance, this page here, you can see the difference. It does separate a little easier. But going back, you can see his love for John Buscema in the women's faces. once we see more of the Silver Surfer, you'll see nose faces. He's also a big Gil Kane fan, which you can see in the way he constructs some of his anatomy. Like I said, Claudio is an Italian artist. He also did DC versus Marvel. Dan Jurgens drew, it was 4 issues. Dan Jurgens drew 2 issues. Claudio drew 2 issues. Nothing against Dan. I love Dan's work, but the Claudio stuff, seeing him take a crack at Marvel and DC characters was just fantastic. You could pour over these pages the little details of the creatures that he drew, even the stuff going down in the background. If you can get a black and white version of this, I highly recommend it. I'd also get, like I said, the reprint color version so you can actually read it. I've got 2 copies of this because now, once again, like everything, it's going up in value. So I've got my beater reader copy, and then I have a nicer copy. I wouldn't mind getting a near mint copy of this Italian version, but I think that'd be hard to find. Beautiful shot of Galactus here. Claudio just really pushing just the details. I think this job took him 2 years maybe to complete. And it shows the craftsmanship here. Remember, this is long before guys that are using all computer stuff these days for like these gray tones and stuff here. This is Zipatone as far as I know. And then this is all, you know, pen work that he did. I love the way he does fingers, so expressive. That's the Neal Adams-esque coming in to play. So many influences here. Classic Buscema in some of these faces, like I said. The way he does the metal rendering on the Surfer is like John Buscema to another level. Totally epic. That looks like, nope. For some reason, I thought that was, where did I see that before? Not there. I thought I saw that reference. Nope, I guess not. I mean, just back to the splash page, that is such a John Buscema classic type pose, but not one you've really seen Buscema do, but it has the flavor of it. Just the amount of detail into these pages. And I don't know if he owns these or if he has sold these. I honestly don't have a clue. You can see the love for the craft. I wish Claudio would do more interior work. I think he just does commissions now. And he's full up on those. I actually asked him, I emailed with him about a First Man, and he is just full up right now, unfortunately. Love this pose. A little bit of Gil Kane, a little bit of John Buscema, Neal Adams, all just molded together, and boom, there's Claudio. The backgrounds are epic. Great perspectives, great panel layouts. Sometimes I will say it gets a little confusing, you know. Like, for instance, in this panel, you almost lose the Surfer right there. And when you first look at it, you almost get the feeling that this figure belongs to this panel. Then you realize, nope, it's this downshot panel here. You know, things like that. Breaking the panel border in the background brings the Surfer into the foreground. So you're kind of like, wait a second, is that a tiny Surfer? And this guy's huge? Nope. I remember looking at this, and I still look at it. This is this copy is next to me on my bookshelf. This is one of those books that I consider going to when I want to get inspired. Beautiful details back here. So the figure drawing is so classic. Facial expressions great. Flow through the figures as well. This, to me, is comic books at its best. It's not totally realistic, but it's not totally whacked out cartoony. It just rides that fine line. It's got the dynamics. Look at that beautiful face. Gorgeous lighting. That creature. I mean, it even has a bit of a manga influence as well. That's very manga. Some of the way he uses his gray tones has a manga feel to it. And it's a great way to learn Italian. You read it next to the American version, and you can teach yourself Italian without paying for one of those expensive apps or paying for an expensive tutor. Teach yourself Italian right here. Claudio, of course, I said he was at CrossGen. He did some work for CrossGen, not enough, but he did do some work, and it was gorgeous seeing him do his take on the CrossGen characters. This cracks me up. Nope, she's wearing clothes, but they're super tight because you can see a little nipplage pulling through those clothes. That is some super tight stuff right there. But no, she's not naked. In fact, let's double check in the English version that's colored to make sure. Nope, see, she's wearing clothes right there. The one thing with the translation in the English version is some of the word balloons moved. I like this placement much better. I'm not quite sure why they thought it'd be better to put the placement of the word balloon on his body when it works perfectly right here. So you can go through and see those little differences too. Claudio did a Darth Vader job for Dark Horse, which is sought after and is just phenomenal. There it is. Let's see. Hold on. That's it. So unfortunately, there's not a new cover for this one. They pulled this panel, it looks like. But this one definitely has a new cover to it. This beautiful cross hatching here, all done by hand. Every pose in this book is very How to Draw Comics the Marvel way. He actually did, I think he took a John Buscema Hulk breakdown that John did and did finishes over it, and Marvel printed it in Shadows and Light, which was their black and white book in the 90s. This pose right here has got to be the most John Buscema pose I've seen, and I wouldn't be surprised if he found a John Buscema pose and just riffed it in his own style. I love that. That's just such a great drawing. I like how he did the board more angular and stuff. Gives it more power. I mean, just going back to that pose right here, just love that. You can see why this took a couple years to make. I mean, look at this explosion. This is all on the original. I can't even fathom filling in all the blacks around this burst of like stars and stuff. This explosion, just the power behind it. Great perspective on the Galactus. Everything has its own perspective to it. No real flash shots. Look at that. Like I said, these originals are twice up. I want to say the originals to this are double the size of this open. So just imagine another one of these books open like this popped on top. And that's how big the original is. I want to say the originals are like 18 by 24. And there it ends with a pissed off Thanos. Would have been great seeing another one of these. But that's it. We'll do a quick flip through of the full color one. Let's see here. The color was by the ever phenomenal Joe Rosas. Did a great job of separating forms and pulling things out in color. As you can see, I am Galactus. I don't remember the story that well because I read this so long ago, but I need to go back in and reread this. It's just so phenomenal. These spaceship designs are phenomenal. The Kree. God, I would love to have seen Claudio draw real Captain Marvel in the red and blue costume. Even his hand, everything Claudio does just looks so powerful. Even his hands. The only other artist, well, not the only other one, but when I look at Bart's work, who I get the same feeling when I look at Bart Sears' work, my buddy Bart, of everything just has power and dramatics to it. I'll have to do a flip through one day. Bart drew one issue. It wasn't even a full issue of the Silver Surfer back in the 90s, around 93, 94. He actually only drew, I think, 15 pages of it. But he channeled John Buscema and the way he did the shines on the Silver Surfer. This is Bart I'm talking about. And unfortunately, he couldn't finish the issue. Tom Grinberg came in and finished it. Did a great job. I like Tom's work. But, man, it would have been great to see Bart do the full issue, if not more. So, like I said, this is the coloring in the American version, which is comic book size. Nice flow to the figure. Still, even in color, very manga-looking creature there. Look at that, very John Buscema in the face. His female faces as well. There's that pose. God, I would love to have seen these word balloons, I don't know, placed over here. Look, you could just take these and put them here and they'd be off the body. Man, what the heck? Sorry, I complain every now and then. I just hate bad word balloon placement. And there it is. Boom! Get that beautiful shot of Galactus. And then, of course, Thanos. So there you guys have it. I hope you enjoyed today's book look. Silver Surfer Dangerous Artifacts by Ron Marz and the phenomenal Claudio Castellani. I am Andy Smith, your host with the most, 31-year comic book veteran doing first man superhero fun and action with none of the political preachiness, woke garbage. Go check it out on Indiegogo. Link in the description below. I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye. Bat First Man 2 now, live on Indiegogo.